flew right over my head like a little dove. Anyway, a little angel.
I'm going to start doing this. Mark Rombo Weebs. My name is Cole. His name is Mike. His name is Jay. We like anime, and this is episode 157 of AniPro. And on this week's episode, we are reviewing Your Lie in April. Get your tissue box ready, maybe? I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Or I did. Yeah, I did.
I've only seen like 5 episodes.
Totally. I totally watched it. No, just kidding. This is my rewatch of it, so...
Rewatch for all three of us, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is this the first time we've done a rewatch for an anime review? All three of us?
All three of us, I think.
I think so. Yeah. So this will be an interesting discussion. So that'll be in the second half. But before we get into anything, of course, leave a like, subscribe, come over to our Discord. If this episode can be a pitch for you all to come to our Discord, stop and just come to our Discord and then come back and listen.
Stop. Get some help.
Get some help. And by get some help, I mean, yeah, come over to our Discord. But before we get into anything, I just thought we were having a discussion before the podcast started, and I thought it would be an interesting topic to maybe discuss here. This anime came out in 2014, and there's a big spoiler at the end of the show that I think we're all in agreement is pretty well known. It's kind of the big thing with this show. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after, like once we get to the review. I'm not going to spoil anything right now. But it kind of got me thinking, like, what do you guys think? Two things. Would you consider this a legacy anime? And is it okay to spoil legacy media that have been out for a decade?
Yeah. So it's about 10 years it's been out now. And I guess technically, like, the ending would probably be a little less than that, but that's we're nitpicking at this point. I would say it's on the... Yeah, I'd say it's a legacy anime. I'd say it's like what I assume you mean by legacy anime is it like one of the anime of all time? Is
it a must watch?
Yeah.
Is it on Jay's poster of anime?
Exactly, and that's where I was getting at. Is it's on Jay's poster for a reason?
Yeah,
because it's one of the... It's on the list of the best anime of all time, I'd say.
Okay. So then that kind of narrows down the question then. Like, how do we feel about spoiling, how do we feel about using spoilers when discussing, like, a legacy anime like this? Do you think that it's off the table? Do you think that there's some leeway, some gray area when it comes to discussing something like this? Because in my opinion, I think it's okay. Now, granted, you have to take what I say with a grain of salt. I am famously... not immune to spoilers, but less critical of them than a lot of other people are.
I think context does matter in that scenario, because like if you're recommending Your Lie in April to a new anime fan, which like I think is something that this anime would be suitable for, then maybe tiptoe around it because they're not as integrated into the anime zeitgeist. But if you're just talking about it like casually with people in the anime community who like have seen a good chunk of shows, I'd say, or like just are on the internet a lot, then like I think there it would be fair game.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Jay. I think that like it kind of depends who you're talking to. Like if I'm talking to like someone who's like an experienced anime watcher, and like let's say somehow I found out they didn't watch Your Lie in April, I would be like, oh, you should watch it, and I wouldn't be so afraid to spoil things. I'd be like, you know what happens, right? Kind of like to test the waters a little bit. But I think recommending it to someone who's newer and maybe less experienced in the anime sphere, it makes sense to kind of just let them go in blind and kind of ride that raft the way through. And I think Cole was trying to put this towards more of like a not just anime, but more in just media in general, spoiling media that's old. Like I think the best example I can think of is it spoilers to tell people that Darth Vader is Luke's father?
Right. Yeah. Like that's,
at this point, that is so culturally significant, that line, Luke, I am your father, even though he never says that.
He stopped me before I could correct him, ladies.
I know.
And
I could see Cole literally going, squee, I don't like when he says the wrong thing.
Actually.
Yeah. He doesn't have glasses to push up, but that's okay. I think if it's there's a line, like if I'm talking about this or Star Wars or something where it's so popular that everybody kind of has already been spoiled, then yeah, it's kind of fair game. But if I'm recommending you to watch like some obscure thing or check out some obscure thing that nobody really knows about, I would say it'd be kind of a dick move to spoil it.
Well, I think that the obscurity of it in general kind of puts the brakes on it for me as well. Like, I think it's okay to spoil something that's kind of in the cultural zeitgeist, right? Like
I think like
which is the correct line.
I think like even if you were to spoil something like Serial Experiments Lane, where like it's not talked about that much, but like it is a pretty old anime. I'd say like would probably be a little bit of a no-no, but like Your Lie in April in particular is something that's so ingrained in our in anime discussion that like it's hard to avoid regardless. So like even if like we were to spoil or we didn't spoil it, you like someone would probably be spoiled somewhere else.
Especially now, like the internet is such a ubiquitous thing that we all use, and we get spoiled with stuff all the time. Not to mention too, like, hey, if you ever Google search saddest anime, like, that's kind of a spoiler in
itself, right? Yeah. So, and I mean, to like our credit here, we're talking about, I just checked on AniList, it's the number 22 most popular anime of all time. So like, realistically, like, you probably know what happens. You haven't watched it, you have an idea.
I think, like, granted, of course, people who listen to anime podcasts are typically going to be a bit more into the anime culture. So for the most part, I think people who will be listening to our review will be aware of the spoiler. And again, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, if you are worried about spoilers, we're not doing the review right now. We're not going to spoil anything if you are.
And I think in the review, we're only going to talk maybe about that one big thing, which you probably already know, and everything else will probably dance around.
So, I think it's just like in the internet culture right now, we're all kind of a little bit less concerned about spoilers as well.
I think it's more desensitized. That's the word. That's a better word for it. Because like the one that really desensitized me a little bit, because I generally don't like spoilers. I'm one that likes to ride the wave of things and feel the emotion as you're supposed to like take it in organically as it happens. So spoilers basically take that out of it. You get to watch it like a cold, unfeeling animal, right? Because you know what happens. But what actually broke me on this was Twitter and two things. Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen fans on Twitter, or what was formerly known as Twitter. And for some reason, those two, anytime anime is popular, like the fandom just gets off on spoiling things for some reason, especially for like these like super popular shonen shows. They're a little edgy. It just attracts the edgelords that want to spoil things. And like, so to counteract them, I just read the rest of it. But like, you can't do that with things that are still releasing, because people will like they're like, oh, it hasn't released yet, but I got the raws and translated it myself just so I can spoil this one thing. That's jerk move.
That's monstrous.
The final volume for My Hero Academia released like a couple days ago in Japan. And people have been posting that all over the internet, and it's like, it's not even here. It's like, it just came out, but like, everyone has to know. Everyone has to know.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it would be funny too as well, like maybe mention, hey, has there been like an instance that either of you have gone through specifically for spoilers? So Mike, you mentioned Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'll give Jay a moment to think about it, and I'll go with mine. So there's this little media property called Star Wars. Okay.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah. Hey, it's made
Get your bingo cards out. Yeah, you get two free squares on this one.
No, remember when episode 7 came out, Mike?
Yeah.
And Jay, yes. We're all aware.
We all know
so
of
there's
this
a
cultural
character.
phenomenon called Star Wars.
There's a character who meets their untimely demise in that movie.
Mm.
And I was like, Mike, you know me, I don't care about spoilers.
Right.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
My rationale is, it's not about the destination. You can still enjoy the journey even if you know where you're going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wanted to go into this scot-free to watch it, as Mike says, as a mindless animal, the mindless animal that I am. So I wasn't looking for spoilers. I just clicked on something, and then, I was spoiled for this character, this character's fate. Before I could see the movie.
That's
the day I was going to see the movie, because of course I got tickets for opening night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
obviously,
I was
a big Star Wars fan. Yeah,
and someone got out of the theater and they were like, "I know just the thing to post."
And it was like that. They're like, but the way they wrote it was like, that this happens in it, right? It's like, no, nobody does. You jerk.
Monster. Yeah, and then all the edgy people get off on retweeting it too. So it's just, oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, in that case, new things. Why? What are you doing? Why are you spoiling things? Or things that aren't here?
It sucks, but it's also like there's this awkward window where like, say, let's use your example of Star Wars here, where it just comes out.
Yeah, it's kind of my fault for
opening night. Maybe don't post it. But like in the next couple days, then it kind of gets more acceptable, I'd say, because like at the same time, you kind of want people having that you kind of want people having that conversation too. That hype. Unfortunately, people seeing spoilers and talking about spoilers and talking about the plot details and stuff kind of builds hype for things in a weird way.
What I will say, like, I am also aware of my shortcomings in this situation. Like, you have to be aware that you're kind of playing Russian roulette.
Just by
in a cultural, just by going on the internet, the day that movie was released. So it's kind of my fault. I get it.
Kind of on you
and
a
at the same
bit.
time, like people, kind of what Mike was saying, like people love, like when people go see things, they always want to talk about it with someone. Just like
that's what it really is, right? Is they want to talk about it.
It was the phrasing of the post where it was like, either they were a jerk straight up, or I can give them the benefit of the doubt and they just don't really have that, like, societal like filter that a lot of people have. So they're just like, I gotta put this online and just share this with the world.
It's more of a I know something you don't. I think that's
probably
what it is more.
Probably.
Yeah.
To give them the benefit of the doubt, it could
you're
be
nicer than me, apparently.
It could be.
Yeah.
I'm siding with you, Mike. Like, I genuinely think that they were just being a jerk. But I don't know. Maybe they just weren't aware of what they were doing.
Well, I have a story of someone who absolutely was a jerk. Because
please.
They spoiled something
Cole.
as I was arriving at the movie theater to go see Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, that's brutal. Like they were walking out of the movie.
So like they're walking out, I'm walking in.
Yeah.
And as like I'm approaching the door, they just shout at the top of their lungs the character who meets their unfortunate demise in that movie.
It's always what spoilers are too, right? Like,
yeah.
And like you go through the 5 stages of grief of like, no, they're joking.
No.
They're joking.
Yeah, they're lying.
They're obviously joking.
They're lying.
They're lying.
It's a lie.
It's not. That didn't happen. And then like just being like, no, those.
like, then you get to acceptance.
Then eventually you just get to acceptance where you're just like, all right.
The bargaining phase is interesting, where you're like pleading with the worker there selling you popcorn.
That's why I kind of like, Jay, this is a trick I know you're quite fond of too, is like the fake out death spoiler.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh yeah, that person dies.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, does he? What?
Yeah.
No. And then they don't actually. And then just kind of like trick. It's like a little trick you can play. It's a little game.
It's a little game.
I always do that as like a cover up. If I ever accidentally do spoil something, I'll be like, oh, but also this character dies.
Everyone dies at the end.
Yeah.
As like as a big fake out, just to be like,
yeah.
Crap, I need to cover my trail here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay's like, Darth Vader's Luke's dad. Oh, but he dies at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
But also he explodes.
Yeah.
And
Also,
It's just
he
basic
gets
procedure.
burned by lava. Oh, crap.
his name's Anakin. Oh no.
Oh no! he kills younglings. Shit.
Yeah, he's just covering up his spoiler with more spoilers.
He's just describing the whole plot of Star Wars.
Yeah.
He marries Padme.
Well, I think what's important that we can all agree on is that untimely spoilers make us sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of one of it's like the line I think we've used a couple times in the podcast where there's no real good definition of when something's safe to spoil. But kind of like porn, there's no good definition of it, but you know it when you see it.
You just know.
Yeah.
You can
You just
feel
know,
it.
like it feels bad. It feels bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think that's a good place to end this discussion. You know it when you feel it.
Yeah. Let's talk about something way more uplifting and like less.
Yeah,
sad
let's talk
than
about like
being
something
spoiled
like,
on things.
like you know,
Let me
joyous.
let me look at my topic
Yeah, what do we have
topic of
up
discussion
next?
list here. Let's discuss saddest media discussion.
Oh yeah, that was my idea. Yeah.
No,
And-
this is a interesting topic of discussion.
Mhm.
Spoilers, I guess, kind of. Your Lie in April, famously a sad anime.
Whoa, no way.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's where you were coming from with this topic of discussion,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So I think because Michael, this is your topic that you'd like to discuss, that you're pinning on us, you're forcing us to discuss. Do you have a piece of media that you on the top of your head? Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a number one saddest and most gut wrenching and hardest thing that I don't know if I can actually bring myself to rewatch it because it's so sad.
Okay.
And that would be a famous Ghibli movie that you guys are well aware of called Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes.
And the whole thing from start to finish is fairly like, it features like these two children who are like kind of just like living in the aftermath of World War II and like the famine and starvation. So it's not a happy movie from the get-go.
But obviously,
And then
it gets
just-
better from there, right? Like it's
It's a
touching,
Ghibli movie.
Yeah,
Right, it's a Ghibli movie. You'd think, oh, cool, this aired as a 1-2 punch with Totoro back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is
obviously
it's
uplifting by the
has
end.
a happy ending. Yeah, no, this is a movie where when you see a little like, there's like a little can of sweets that features prominently in the movie, and just seeing it is enough to bring sadness into your heart because you just remember these two little kids
Oh, no.
trying to struggle their way through life, and it's just. It's such a great piece of media, though, because it's like it's such a great, amazing piece of anti-war propaganda. And I mean, Miyazaki's famous for being an anti-war guy, right? So, yeah.
I will say though, it's not a
Yes.
Miyazaki movie. He
It's
didn't
not,
direct
though.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
his,
Inoue, right?
Yeah, it was his partner because Miyazaki did the My Neighbor Totoro, right?
Yes, yes.
And then they worked on this at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a Ghibli movie. It looks like a Ghibli movie, and it's got those themes that Miyazaki would have, but it's not a Miyazaki movie. It's
I'm sure he helped out.
I'm
with a
sure
bit of it, and I'm sure that they were good buddies because or they founded
It's
the
a
studio
collaborative
together. It's
process.
collaborative.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I think of like, oh, what's something sad that like brings your heart pain and suffering? Definitely Grave of the Fireflies is like probably sitting pretty high on like either the top or very close to the top of that list.
I will say I have that DVD. I have that
Oh, do
movie
you?
on DVD. I've had it for a long time.
You should watch it.
I have not
It's a good
watched
time.
it.
It's a good time. You should watch it.
I'm too nervous to watch it.
It's really good, but it is.
I know it's very good.
It's
and,
profound and heart wrenching.
Yeah, and I'm fine with heart wrenching stuff. It's just there's a reputation that has of being like over the top in terms of its emotional impact.
Yeah, it doesn't let up. Oh, that's what I'll say. It doesn't. Let up.
So yeah, I get a little nervous about watching it. Now, Jay,
Yes.
famously the person who's most difficult to force a cry out of.
Oh yeah.
Saddest
SAO,
media
so
discussion.
sad. for me, the saddest movie I watched in recent memory was Maquia, which I think Cole's seen. I don't know if Mike's seen it.
Yep.
I haven't, no.
I have that on Blu-ray.
I do
disc.
too. But yeah, no, it's just a very sad movie about an immortal taking care of a child and watching that child grow while the mother doesn't, and like that like idea of like watching your child and time pass while you're just kind of stuck in the same spot.
Yeah, the theming of it was quite impactful. Yeah, and I could see how something about like mothers in stories always
hits.
Hurt.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
I think like
I'm
this
just a
movie
mama's
in
boy.
particular does affect you differently depending on your relationship with your own mother, I think.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
But like, man, it's rare. Like it's common that I'll cry, but it's rare that like I'll cry from like the beginning of a story to the very end.
This is one where you went through a whole box of tissues, is what you're saying? And not for the usual reasons?
I don't know what usual reasons you're talking about. I only use them for crying.
Yeah, no, of course.
Right, yeah.
I only use my tissues for crying.
I lotion
Weird
my
flex, but
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. The bottle of lotions to moisturize my face so the tears don't
What
stick.
lotion?
The tears keep me hydrated.
No, but
and lubricated.
like, having I went through a whole box of tissues that time. It was a painful ride.
I believe it. Yeah.
But it that like good sad pain where it's like, this is a really good movie. It's really hitting.
Yeah. Going off of that now for something completely different. Have you guys ever seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer meets his mom for the first time in like decades?
Oh, you just reminded me of something, Cole.
And then at the end, his mom like has to leave, and it's so sad.
Yeah.
And it's The Simpsons, and you're supposed to be watching this funny show, funny haha, but at the end, it's like just heartbreaking.
Man, Matt Groening has so many like of those episodes in like both
Futurama's got a lot,
and also
too.
Futurama. Like the one that you reminded me of was the Seymour one, where he with his dog. But there's also like the one where like Fry's looking for his clover, and then like you find out by the end of the episode that like something that completely recontextualizes the whole episode and is like just so. Have you not?
Is that the one? Is that the one where he thinks his brother stole his name?
Yes. Yeah.
That one is incredible.
So good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's something about when like a comedy show goes for the feels. It hits different. It hits so much harder too because you're used for the funny yucks, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, how about this?
Yeah. The plaque that he finds at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
My heart. Yeah. My heart will go on, but right now it weeps.
Yeah.
But like I'm told that humans weep when they see stuff.
I have been informed of this human sadness.
But as for anime, Cyberpunk Edge Runners ending, anyone? That's a good one.
See, and that brings up the other good thing about like I find that for like moving media, like movies and TV shows, anime, blah blah blah, I find having an emotional score and like the music for certain things really, really can drive home the impact of the sadness, I guess, is with lack of a better term.
Well,
and
having like having like a
Yeah.
recognizable like scores usually use like a leitmotif or something like that. But Cyberpunk Edge Runners uses a song to like harken back to an earlier scene where like everything is good, and then it just completely flips that concept on its head.
Everything,
So when you rewatch the show and the initial scene happens, it's like it hurts because you know what's gonna happen later on.
You
So
just know, right? Like
it's the use of the music. Well, I mean it's a full spectrum thing, right? The visuals, the sound, the acting, everything.
Yep.
And I think Cyberpunk Edgerunners works really well for that. I can listen to that song without getting emotional, but in context, very, very impactful music choice. Do either of you have any other ones, Mike?
Yeah, another one I'd throw out there is a show that came out right when I think it's a founding memory for Cole and I with when we got back into anime, and that's Devilman Crybaby. Talk about endings that make you just stare at a wall for a while after. And it's a like some of these the ones we're talking about with like sad endings, this one has like a very different kind of sad ending where it's like very like
crushing.
Oh,
it's hopeless.
There is no hope.
Yeah.
This is like doomed.
It's
This has
bleak.
been doomed from the start. This is bleak. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. This is just darkness the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's like that's brutal to me.
I would love to discuss
I know
this show, but it's so wild and crazy.
Yeah,
it'd be tough to review, but man, that ending, like I'll just say, like the fact that the character who's getting hurt is like immortal and has to continue to be hurt.
Yes,
is even more adds even more to it in hindsight, where
there's
like,
so many layers to it being just like brutal. It's brutal. There's that whole
and the
animation is
reveal,
brutal. Yeah.
The reveal at that scene. Oh my God, watch that show. Like if you can get past the first episode, you'll be okay, and it's worth the watch. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another Netflix joint.
Oh yeah. Netflix. Do you have another Netflix show you'd like to discuss, Jay?
Nothing from Netflix. Oh, actually, yes, I do. One episode of Violet Evergarden.
Yes,
Violet Evergarden.
That was on my list. Again, Mothers.
Yeah.
Mothers. Yeah. That one episode. Probably like the show in and of itself is really good.
Oh yeah.
But if you were to distill, like if you were to say like this is one episode of one show that is worth watching, that one episode of Violet Evergarden. It's peak.
And I think like it's just one of those universal things that like if you watch it, it's gonna hit you.
Yeah, there's not many people out there saying like, "Oh, it's bad."
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Or
if you are, you're a hipster.
Yeah. You're just being a contrarian.
Yeah.
Another one that's not like I wouldn't call it sad, but it's emotional would be the end of A Silent Voice for me.
Yeah.
Like it's so well done where the music, like again the use of the music in that scene and the imagery of it. Again, I think it's worth everybody going out and watching it. It's a movie. Go watch it. It's being re-released right now in December at some point. Not in Canada though, which makes me sad. But yeah, that one, I don't know, maybe it was at the time when I watched it as well, like it just felt very personal to me as well. Yeah, that would be another one.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of different ways you can go the sad route, and I think something like A Silent Voice is more. It's something people do a lot where they mix up sadness with just emotional.
Yeah, that's why I put that asterisk on it. Yeah, it's not sad per se. It's like just emotional.
Yeah, one that people always say is like one of the saddest is Erased. For another example too.
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah, or Anohana.
For the same reason. Or Anohana, same. Yeah, kind of the same thing. Where like, is it a happy ending?
No,
not necessarily.
But it's not as sad as like people think.
Yeah, it's more just like kind of a.
It
I don't
made
want to
you
say
cry.
bittersweet. Yeah,
it
makes
you cry.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Yeah,
because
people. People confuse that emotion with sadness. Like, what is this?
Well, people.
I'm crying.
People
I
think
must
like
be
cry
sad.
equals sadness. Yeah.
when like you can just be overwhelmed. It's overwhelming sometimes with emotion. You know?
Yeah, Your Name is a big one where people say it's sad. It's not sad,
it's not
like
sad.
in the
That one's-
slightest.
No,
Objectively not sad.
no,
Yeah.
it's actually a happy ending.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've got one last one
Okay.
for myself. If you guys got more, you can mention it. But Goodnight Punpun is another one of those like cathartic endings where it's like you can see that things could end up being okay. Like Punpun's in an okay place by the end of it, but like all of the stuff that gets to that point and all of the weight that he will inevitably have to carry for the rest of his life, regardless of being able to continue living, is it leaves a real stare at the wall feeling in you at the end of that manga.
Yeah, that's Punpun's another one where it's like very like there's just like I said for basically exactly what I said for Devilman Crybaby repeat here. It's just so like crushing.
There's a little bit more hope in Punpun. The fact that like
a little bit
he's still surrounded by people who care for him.
Yeah,
but like he's got a lot of demons that he's got to carry. Oh, go read Goodnight Punpun.
Only if you're in a fairly good mental place, I'd say that one.
Yeah. I do think it's if you enjoy is a strong word. If you're okay with being pushed by media like that, and aren't sensitive to those type of topics, like Goodnight Punpun is one of the best possible. Yeah. But Jay, do you have another one?
One more that I know a lot of people say is very sad, and that's Plastic Memories. I don't know if either of you have seen it.
I haven't seen Plastic
Memories.
Seen it.
But like it does have like that very similar ending to some of the things that we've talked about earlier, where like it's a romance and the romance doesn't end.
It's a classic trope
in the best
the
best of ways.
Yeah, romance ending in the worst way possible. Yeah.
But yeah, and it is sure to tug at a heartstring or two by the time it's done.
Yeah.
Mike, do you got one to wrap this up?
No, actually, I can't think of any off the top of my. Oh, you know what? Taking the out of the realm of anime for a minute here. Interstellar.
Ooh,
is sneaky sad.
Sneaky
sad because like towards the end when he's how much can I say?
When he meets his daughter at the end.
When he meets his daughter at the end, and just watching all that is just again, it's so crushing. It's just like, oh man, I feel for you, buddy. I feel for you. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
And just like
I want to talk about that more, but I don't.
I know. I brought it up, and then I was immediately like, oh crap, how do I talk about this?
How do I dance around this?
Yeah, but like the famous scene of him pounding on from the other side of the bookcase or whatever is just like,
or like
Oscar bait for sure.
When he comes home and he meets someone, and that someone is not how they were when he left.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. Just like the topic. The topic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's move on to something also tangentially related to our Your Lie in April review, just by happenstance.
It's time for the mailbag.
It's mailbag time. If you got a mailbag question, you can send it to us over at our website, AniProPod.com/mailbag, or on our Discord. This comes from our Discord, and it's also a patron priority mailbag. It comes from Mogmog. Now, I picked this question out because there's two things with this show. One, sad. Two, music. This one's kind of a music question, so I thought it would be an interesting one to ask. So their question reads thusly. So, thinking about wrestler entrance music, I'm going with Buttercup, I'm a Supergirl by Shonen Knife. I'm thinking that this is the second best band name ever. Tragically Hip, number one. First of all, excellent choice, as three Canadians. Very well done. So the question is basically, what is your favorite band name? If you had a band and gave it an anime/manga related name, what would it be? And springboarding off of that, what anime characters would you have in your band? So I think the easy one is, what's your favorite band name? I'm going to go with the one that just pops into my head.
Okay.
I'll give Mike a guess as to what he thinks I'm about to say.
Rush.
Yeah, I was thinking Rush too.
I'm going to say
when
Rush.
in doubt, Cole's going to
Just
talk about
default to
either
Rush.
Van Halen, or Star Wars.
In my defense, and it's not really in my defense,
Okay.
it's just a defense of the answer. It's
Yes.
the first thing that came to my head.
Mhm.
So I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, no, let her
like
rock.
I mean,
Let her-
you got to
yeah.
go with it, right? You're
Yeah.
trying to think of best band names,
Mhm.
and the first one that comes in your head is obviously the best one. What I will say is, I also think Rush is kind of a lame band name in a weird way as well, but it works.
It's it's a band that I feel like really only could come out in the 70s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, like Rush initially was like basically like a Zeppelin homage band.
Yeah.
Like who's that
Yeah.
band right now that is that?
I want to say Wolf Mother, but that's not right.
No, the one Nug Deep loves.
Yeah, I don't remember their name right now.
People-
you know who we're talking
Yeah, you
about.
know who they are. They sound just like Zeppelin.
They're clearly
but Rush,
yeah.
Rush was able to like pave their own way. So yeah, I'm going with Rush, another Canadian band.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's almost like we have some good
yeah.
band
Sorry,
names
just
up here.
going off the Tragically Hip thing. Listen to Tragically Hip, people from
Yes.
from America.
Yes,
They're
sure.
incredible.
Yeah.
There's something that I was reading recently. Rush is the band that Canada gave to the world, but the Tragically Hip is the one we kept for ourselves. And I think.
Oh, I like
that's-
that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
this one's ours.
Yeah.
And the Hip, yeah, they're so good. Jay, do you got an answer though?
I've been
For best
thinking-
band
I've
name.
been thinking about this
Mm.
while you were talking, and I'd say like the coolest band name for me was Aerosmith. I just like
that is a cool name.
it's just a cool
It's a
actually.
cool name. Yeah.
It is a cool name.
like I don't know. There's no like rhyme or reason to it. Just like the name Aerosmith sounds awesome.
It does.
Yeah.
I was like Van Halen too. Like
Mhm.
give the 80s some credit for having like the 70s and 80s had some like cool
Mhm.
sounding names.
Or,
Yeah,
like
they weren't
Black
afraid to just
Sabbath.
be like Black Sabbath is a
Sabbath.
cool name.
Iron Maiden.
Led Zeppelin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of cool
Iron
band names
Maiden,
back then.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Beatles. The Beatles
Mhm.
is a good band name
Yeah.
because it's also a pun. They spell Beatles like beat, like the
Mhm.
beat of the song, BEA. Yeah, instead of BE.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Yeah.
Good name, Beatles. You heard of them?
Good job, Beatles.
So Jay, your answer is Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aerosmith.
Huge Steven Tyler fan. Loves
Mhm.
big lips.
But loves big lips. Well, you're in luck with this anime you're reviewing. Mike, what's your answer?
I had to think for a little bit, and I'm glad you let me
Mhm.
go last for once on this one. And there's one that I can think of that actually comes up, and it's quite simple. The best band name is The Band,
Ooh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
it
yeah,
says
yeah,
it all.
yeah.
It's The Band. And then you also have the added, like, if you, it's great on two layers. Both the first one where it's like, okay, it's The Band, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you dig a little deeper. You peel back the skin of the onion, and inside you
Mhm.
see, oh, they used to be Bob Dylan's backing band.
Yeah, it was
They
Bob
were
Dylan.
Bob Dylan's band.
It was
The Band.
Bob Dylan and the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great. I don't know. I just think that's so like witty and clever and just like, oh,
Mhm.
it's great. Yeah.
Also kind of Canadian. Some of the members are Canadian.
Semi. Yeah.
Another
There's some
great Canadian
names.
another great Canadian band name, Bachman
Mhm.
Turner Overdrive. That's so
I think it's
metal.
cooler when you shorten it and just call it BTO.
BTO? I don't know.
BTO is
Bachman
cooler.
Turner Overdrive's cool.
BTO is
I-
cooler.
I prefer its full legal name. Thank you
It's
very
government name.
much.
Yeah.
The name it has on his driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you had a band and
Okay.
could
Mhm.
give it an anime / manga related name, what would it be? This one's tougher for me, I think. Can I count G.I. Joe as an anime and say that my favorite band name that I've been trying to start is Destro's Hips? I'm going to go with Destro's Hips.
Yeah. I don't understand that. This is like such an obscure inside meme with Cole and his family that it's just like,
Mhm.
I've been hearing Destro's hips for years. Still
Yeah.
couldn't
I
tell
don't
you
even
what
know
it
what
is.
that means.
Yeah.
No, that's
And-
fine, but I think
yeah.
it's a cool band name.
It is
It's
kind of a
like one
cool
of those
band
ones
name.
where you're like,
Yeah.
what? Okay.
Yeah.
What? Destro? Like from G.I. Joe? What is his hips?
Yeah.
Yeah, Destro's Hips. Stupid hips. Yeah, I'm going Destro's Hips. It's kind of an anime
I guess so.
anime-
Yeah.
in the
guess,
sense that
I
it's
guess.
animated.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I'll try to think of something else too. Do either of you have an answer?
I thought of a stupid one.
Oh, but it was stupider than Destro's hips? Please.
So
lay it on me.
Yeah, let's hear it.
if we're counting G.I. Joe, I'm counting Transformers, and I'm gonna say Starscream Strings.
Oh, Starstreams. That's a tough one to say.
I know.
Starstreams.
It's a little wordy.
Starscreams strings. I like it though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Again, Star Screams Strings.
Yeah.
It's like
People would see that
triple S.
on a billboard and they'd be like, "What? That sounds awesome."
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
And then you go in and they're playing like polka music or something. It's like this is
It's just
not what
like
I was
one guy
expecting.
with a banjo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like a one-man band.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the big drum on his back.
Oh,
and
I like it.
the horn. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mike, how are you getting out of this one?
I don't know. I don't know where I'd go with this. If you had a band and gave it if you had a band and gave an anime manga related name, what would it be? Oh, it'd be like a great name for a band would be Cowboy Bebop, but it's kind of taken, or Death Note.
Okay.
Those are kind of taken too, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'd just call it like Ghoul. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to think like anime related here. I'm trying to think.
I think you could go Tokyo Ghoul would be a cool
Tokyo
band
Ghoul
name.
would be a good band name too.
Mhm.
That's where I was kind of thinking, but can you just have that be the name? Actually, Full Metal Alchemist would be a sweet band name too, actually.
That's pretty good.
That would be a cool-
If you're going to go with Full Metal Alchemist, I'm taking Tokyo Ghoul. I think that's got like
Tokyo
a
Ghoul.
a mystique to it.
Tokyo Ghoul does sound cool, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I go-
yours.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tokyo Ghoul because I think it gives you that edginess too and mysterious. Or no,
Yeah.
Tokyo Ghouls.
Ooh.
No.
Singular.
No, singular. You need the singular.
Yeah, it's cooler. It's cooler.
Might even go Tokyo Ghoul, maybe.
Maybe.
But there's something
Maybe.
nice about just simpleness of it. Yeah, let's go Tokyo Ghoul because that's
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
a cool
They
one.
nailed
I
it
like
with
that
that
one.
name. They nailed it with that
Okay,
name.
now I got to come up with like an actual anime name that would be a cool.
Oh, I
band
just
name.
thought of one.
Let it rip.
Okay, so the two like main people from the band, like the lead guitar and lead singer, their names are both Hunter, and it's just Hunter.
Oh, nice.
That's a good one.
Oh,
That's a good one.
one other sweet band name, Death from Above 1979. Excellent band name. Continue on.
Yeah. I'm going with One Piece. Just to draw in all you One Piece fans.
Good luck getting your band. I guess all these bands, good luck getting them found on Google search.
I feel like yeah. No, that's very true. Okay, and then final question here. What anime character would you have in your band? I'm going to take the easy one. I'm going Hitori Goto Bochi from Bochi the Rock.
Well, then I'll take
Well,
the
at least
one-
have very good lead guitar playing.
Yeah. Well, I'll take Misato Katsuragi on the tambourine.
Oh, okay.
How about
All
that,
right.
Cole? How about that?
I see how it is. How it is.
Yeah. No, real answer. There's quite a few. Who's good? Oh, Brooke from One Piece, obviously. Also having cool guitar and just like a 7-foot tall skeleton man who's very funky. Hell yeah.
And you're called
and we're called Tokyo Ghoul. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty metal. Yeah.
That works.
Not gonna lie. Yeah. That's a good one. Jay, top it.
That is pretty cool. I'm gonna take.
going Mio
Maybe got
senpai.
Jay seal approval.
I'm gonna take Ryusuke Minami from Beck. He can shred on guitar, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my band is the best band to ever be. I don't remember what we're called. Oh, Destro's Hips.
Destro's Hips.
I feel like
Yeah.
we did a build a band episode like a long.
We did.
Time
We did.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd like to do it again, though.
cop out answer. Go watch that episode or listen to it, depending on how you
Yeah.
take in.
And also go
episodes.
watch that episode of your favorite anime. Don't forget to watch anime.
That episode is episode 71 of the AniPro podcast.
Oh.
Hmm.
Well, it's available then. It's not in the
Yes.
vault.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think this was a very eye-opening discussion. I learned a lot
Mhm.
about you two in this discussion, but I think I need a bit of a break from
Okay.
you both.
Honestly, same.
Yeah. I've got 2 more episodes of Your Lie in April to watch,
I have
and I have I have a feeling the last 2 episodes are really going to turn this one around. I think they're going to be very happy, and everybody's going to be happy.
I have 17 episodes left, so maybe we should go for a break.
I think we should have a quick little 10-minute break, and then you guys can do
just
that,
so I can get
then-
through all 15 of these episodes.
Yeah. Have them all on like tiles on your screen, and they're all going at 5 times speed.
Yeah. He's just absorbing them, just eyes
Through
peeled
osmosis.
Like this. Yeah.
It's like it's like Ultron when he started learning about humanity. He's just taking everything in at once.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yes, exactly.
locked into the Matrix.
Yeah, it's sucked into the Matrix. You got the cable to the back of your neck.
Yeah.
just like Neo.
Neo. And then we take it out, and you're like, I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I think I watched
Matrix.
You were
would be a
supposed to
good
be
band
watching
name.
that show. You were supposed to be watching that show.
What? How do you know Kung Fu?
I think that was
Why
in
were
there
you
somewhere,
learning
but
Kung
Yeah.
I think I got more than just my AniPro in here.
Break.
Oh, musical.
I'm making fun of Jay when he sang.
No,
Remember?
No, only I'm allowed to make fun of Jay. I watched
Bleach.
shonen anime recently.
I did too. Just over the past break, and let me tell you, I was not ready. I was ready. I already watched it.
ready.
If I were to associate,
I'm
a
fine.
color-
You're crying. I'm not crying. You're crying.
If I were to associate a color to this anime, it would be orange.
Go on.
Continue.
Welcome back to AniPro.
We've been back, baby.
Oh,
Continue,
we've been
Jim.
back. This
We
is
never
ma-
did the intro.
This is all making it in.
I know,
Oh,
but we
yeah,
never
yeah,
did
yeah.
the intro.
That's
It's
true.
our new
we didn't.
format, Jay.
We didn't reset the
That's true,
episode.
yeah,
You're
that's
right.
true,
Yeah,
that's
you
true.
didn't. You're
Now, why
listening
is
to
it orange?
AniPro, episode
Yeah.
157. We watched Your Lie in April, and we're going to review it right now. It's review time.
Review time. Let's get into it because we're gonna have a good discussion on this one. I can already feel it in my bones.
Yeah, I feel it in my.
Feeling
And
my
I think-
loins.
in my
And while
feeling
Jay
bone.
is feeling very orange and loiny, it is
Mhm.
my duty as the one who forced you, lovely gentlemen, and you, the listener, to
Mhm.
check this out with us. And I'm sure for a lot of people, this was a rewatch because this is, like I said in the first half, the number 22 most popular of all time and the number 95 most highest rated of all time on AniList.
Okay.
If somehow you don't know what it's about,
Mhm. Let me
It's-
just stop.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
we talked about spoilers at the start.
that's true.
So
Yes,
I do just want to specify what we are going to spoil.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to spoil it right now. I'm just going to kind of give a hint. And if people choose to continue past this hint, it's on them. We're going to discuss the final.
We're going to discuss the fate of one of the characters.
We're going to discuss the fate of one of the characters, one of the main characters.
Yes.
And if you don't want to know what happens to one of the
Turn
main
back now.
characters,
Yeah.
turn back. If you have watched this or you don't care, please continue. Go back, go watch the episode, and then come back here if you don't want to be spoiled.
Please do, because I'm sure, like we've all talked about this anime before, I'm sure on the podcast, and we clearly liked it the first time we watched it.
Mhm.
And part of the reason I wanted to bring this up is I kind of have been enjoying the idea of going back and checking out things that I watched early in my anime career
Mhm.
and seeing how they still resonate with me, or if they do at all, or if they've changed at all. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in our review.
Mhm.
Basically, the story is there's this guy and Arima, and he's like a piano prodigy, but he's like dealing with a lot of demons that have the way his upbringing brings back a lot of trauma. He's a very traumatized individual, and he meets this girl who kind of like is working on unlocking him and bringing him back, basically healing him. It's kind of a bit of an Iyashikei in a way, where it's sort of healing, but it also it hurts you at the same time. And I think I'll just kind of leave it there. It's an anime about like dealing with trauma and emotions, and also a lot of music. It really gets the music is strong in this one. This is definitely a music anime as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Definitely.
what were your guys' thoughts before we decided to rewatch this? Like, what did you think going into this for the second time, or maybe third? I don't know.
The second time for me. Jay,
Same
is this your second time? Second
yeah.
time. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's the second time for all of us. Now, of course, we've all watched this before, so I'll just say what I thought of it initially, the first time I watched it. It was very early on. Let me paint the picture for you. I took a week off from work one summer, and it was just kind of a staycation. It was hot outside, very, very hot, and my bedroom was in the basement, and I was just in my bedroom trying to hide away from the heat, and I binged like this whole show in a day.
Super binge worthy. Yeah.
Very good show at the time. I remember like getting to the end and being very like upset. Not crying. I don't cry. But being, stare at the wall, as we say. It gave me that stare at the wall feeling. So that's when I was coming in, honestly, I was expecting it to be less good than I remember it being. I thought this would be a guilty crown moment that Jay had a few reviews ago.
That's kind of how I felt about it too. As I remember really, really enjoying this the first time around. I had a feeling that I wasn't going to enjoy it very much the second time around, or it's just going to be like, yeah, it's good, but it's not as good as I hold it up to be.
Yeah. And that's how I came into this anime. What about you, Jay?
So when I watched this the first time, the dub wasn't out yet. So like this was my first foray into one of my first forays into subbed anime.
Okay. So you watched it when it was coming out? Did you watch you watched it when it was coming out?
No,
or did the dub come out way after it.
The sub was out. The dub came out way after. This was back before Aniplex did simuldubs. It was only Funimation. But I was I was a junior in high school, maybe a senior. I can't remember. One of the two. I had lost a very, very close family member when I started it. So I was in a very very vulnerable place.
Yeah, this would be a wild one to go through that. Yeah.
And yeah, so you can imagine how much this show affected me having been in that position. And how much it meant to me. So when I went back into it, there was a lot of apprehension and fear that that feeling was because of that position I was in, because of that place I was in.
Because that happens for sure, right?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of honestly kind of what this anime is a little bit about, is just memories getting brought up involuntarily through media.
And also just just put it sending my brain back to that time. It was it was something that I was a little apprehensive about confronting.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you powered through.
Yeah.
Your fear. Comparisons and recommendations, I guess, is the next thing, right?
Yeah. So I hate to do it. I hate to be that guy doing this right off the bat. But this is really, it's just a sadder and shonen. March comes in like a lion.
Yeah, there it comes.
I hate to say it.
All Cole's bingo cards are getting scratched off today. We got Star Wars. We got March comes in like a lion.
It really is, though.
It is, It is.
There are these two people who cling to this thing that has brought them nothing but trauma. And it's kind of the story of coming to terms with that and working through it. This has a bit more I hesitate to say shonen superpowers almost. There's this one point, what's his name? Kosei, the main character. Kosei can't hear the notes of the piano, and that's because of his trauma. He can hear his fingers hitting the keys. It's a cool sound design experiment thing. Very cool. But one of the characters says this is you got to use this to your advantage, and I just think that is the most shonen thing.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
If you can't hear the notes you're playing, that's a pretty big hurdle to overcome as a musician. You can't just grit through it.
That's actually a gift. It's actually something that you could use and make you a better player for it. It's
yeah. So like I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying they both definitely, like, March Comes In Like a Lion is seinen. It's much more slow paced.
It's more mature.
Mm-hmm.
It's more
mature.
I don't want to say mature, like that has connotation to it, but yes, it is more mature.
Mature in the sense that like it handles it in a more grounded way.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Where
Yeah.
this is much more shonen. It's much more like fast paced, much more like the energy in this is much higher than.
I like to think of this as like it's basically March Comes In Like a Lion, but with like a manic pixie dream girl thrown into it, and just with like it's just so like fantastical a lot of the time. Like every character while they're playing, they're just like they're like, oh, I'm going through this huge emotional moment as I play the piano and the music swells and all that stuff. And like every episode is like this emotional roller coaster. Whereas March Comes Like a Lion is more like it's a slower burn, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
but
like
it's inevitably a good comparison. Yeah,
it's the comparison for it. Like first of all, they're both black-haired characters with the glasses.
Yeah.
One's called Your Lie in April. The other one's called In March Comes In Like a Lion. The comparisons write themselves.
The parallels are there.
They do.
I just wanted to get that out of the way because I was going to mention it at some point in the review, so we may as well rip that Band-Aid off. Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be my big comparison and recommendation. If you like either of them, I think you'll get it. You'll get some enjoyment out of the other one. What about you, Jay?
The other one that comes to mind is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas.
Okay.
Without spoiling either, they have like that very similar like boy meets girl, sad times happen by the end.
I forgot to say I Want to Eat Your Pancreas for our sad media thing. That one hurt. Yeah, that one hurt, and it was a manga.
Okay, I haven't seen that one
manga.
actually. I haven't checked out that one, so maybe I should.
You should, yeah.
You should.
It is also the number one. I'm looking at the AniList page here, and it is the number one recommendation, which makes a ton of sense because it's also sad, right?
Like I remember when the movie first came out, on Twitter, the like everyone was like, make sure you have tissues with you while you watch this movie,
and not for the usual reason they say. And you're like, what?
What does that mean? Why would you say that? You jerk.
Yeah.
Anohana is another good recommendation, I'd say, as well. It's again, it's a group of friends experiencing this time with this person. And it's a bit of a tearjerker too, right? There's a lot of anime that kind of capture that spring time. Something about spring is just like so like the trope is always like, oh, it's the springtime of your youth, and then you experience this huge thing that causes you to grow as a person. And there's a lot of anime that capture that.
Yeah, and I mean the cherry blossom is like the romance things.
It's the springtime of our youth.
Yeah.
You know,
it's fleeting.
Junior
it's
high,
fleeting, right?
What I will say though, just kind of going off of that, I thought that this anime took place over like a month.
No, it's like a year.
It's a whole year. I forgot about that.
Almost a year.
Yeah. I think it ends in It's
the
around
very
eight.
end is 1 year
again.
after they meet. Yeah.
Which I forgot about that. So that was a nice reminder.
Yeah, because you get both snow and cherry blossoms in this one.
You get snow, you get cherry blossoms, you get lips, you get
the snow is also symbolism for something. What do you know?
Ooh, lots of symbolism in this one.
Yeah.
Another quick one I'll throw out there too for a recommendation. If you like this, you'll probably like A Place Further Than the Universe. Another show that got a dub like years after it released as well, because I just recently got one. I think it's not quite exactly the same, but it captures the essence of like someone dealing with trauma and like going on this journey that they would never have gone on naturally by having other people kind of take their hand and pull them along. And I think it kind of captures that, I think. And that's what
less tragic. Less tragic, I would say. It still has those like very emotional moments in A Place Further Than the Universe, but different feelings that you'll feel. If you like the music in this, of course, sound euphonium as well. Classical music.
Maybe. I don't know.
Not necessarily the plot elements of it, but like if you're a music guy, if you're like, I love classical music and this really got that classical music bone.
I'll also throw in Kono Totomare in there. It's another music drama series that is in a monthly shonen magazine.
Yeah.
So,
That's the one where they play Koto, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So, like,
Cole's try. Was there any like standout characters for you guys? Would you say?
Thank you, Michael. Let me just say that I think I even converted Jay on this rewatch. Listen, there's two girls in this, right? It's a love square in this.
Yeah.
Sort
it's
of.
like a love dodecahedron.
And everybody associates Kosei and Kaori as like the two, they're the couple. They're the couple in this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Tsubaki, like the best friend character, she's number one. She's the best. She's just there for Kosei, no matter what. She's just a good.
She's always
person.
there to support him. Their chemistry between like anyone in the series is probably the best. And like you get a perfect sense of their of like how they interact with each other from like the first scene when like they're in the music room and Watari takes a picture of them. Like you instantly know like they're clearly like maybe not
best friends basically.
Yeah.
There's more. You can tell there's more to it.
There's a spark there, but Kosei has to deal with some things.
And I kind of disagree with you that she's best girl in this. I think how can you say that she's better than Kaori? Because Kaori,
I get it.
Literally, like this show, take Kaori out of it. What does this show become,
I know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Kaori. She's like a Deus Ex Machina.
She's a firework.
She's his muse. She's his muse.
She's a plot point that gets the character moving. And I love Kaori. Like obviously Kaori is great. She is the manic pixie dream girl who goes through some stuff. And I mean, I love the idea of her ending kind of mirroring Kosei's mother's ending, but him being able to, he's grown so much that he can move on.
The parallels between her and his mother are very stark from like almost the beginning.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about her mother too, or his mother as well, because obviously, I guess trigger warning for stuff. She is a very, very strict instructor, like inexcusably strict.
Abusive.
Yes.
Yeah, she's abusive. Yeah,
she's abusive. This show does a very good job of not making you forgive her, but like putting you in her shoes.
Yeah.
She's dying, and she wants to set up her son to be able to
be successful,
live after she's gone. She does it in the wrong way.
Yeah,
inexcusable of that, or it's inexcusable. But she does what she does for that reason, and it's such an interesting like dichotomy or chemistry between Kosei and his mom when like he's hung up on her because she was so abusive, but then he starts to kind of maybe put on rose-colored glasses with her a little bit.
I think it's very like
it's very complex,
it's very complex and kind of more truthful than anime often is with like these complex situations like that. I give it credit for actually like oftentimes just because someone was bad to you in the past, like time kind of heals all wounds in a way, and you kind of like you sort of like look past it. You can still like remember the bad stuff, but you do at the end of the day like you still do have some fondness in your heart, I think. And I think part of it is learning to accept what happened. And I think that's kind of what happens there.
Yeah.
I think basically give it credit for actually dealing with it and showing it in kind of a realistic way is what I
think the big thing too is like him processing it and realizing that like what his mom was going through as well, and being able to think back even further to when she was like a very caring mother before.
Because it actually like she basically like only becomes like that, it seems from my watch, once she's like running out of time and she's like, I'm desperate, I have to get this kid to be like a superstar or else.
Yeah
Which is brutal.
Yeah, it's very it's difficult, you know, like how should you feel about that, right?
And I think that's good though. I think it
I
is.
Yeah.
I think that is something that is a good talking point, which is why we're talking about it right now.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention the mother character, because a lot of people will probably just kind of throw her under the bus, and I think that like these characters have a lot more complexity to them than the surface level would have you think.
Yeah, she does good and bad things, and she's a conflicted character.
And she does bad things for good reasons, right? Like
in her
she justifies them in her mind. Yeah. I guess we can't really get out of the main noticeable characters of this one, because I feel like Kosei is such a good character as well. I feel like we should at least talk about him a little bit. I felt like he was very... I liked how... So this is one of my issues with March Comes Like a Lion, is that for the most part, the main character kind of is moping a lot of the time, and kind of just like, it doesn't, I feel like it doesn't showcase his bright side or like his social side. It doesn't really give you anything to make you kind of like fall in love with the character. Whereas I feel like this, you kind of like with Kosei Arima, you kind of see like a lot more of like the bright points. Like, oh, this is why people are drawn to him, because he's like so charismatic and charming. He just like has this stuff that he's dealing with, right?
Well, I mean, at the same time, I think Your Lie in April has a lot more comedy in it than even like I remembered in the show, and that comedy is so much more uplifting from that dreary, depressive or depressing subject matter that could permeate throughout the entire show and be the only thing in the show. But I think the comedy does a good job of breaking that up and making it more digestible.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like that's kind of like a hallmark of like shonen anime and shonen manga is like it breaks up tough stuff with comedy. And I feel like this one does a good job of like having the chibi and stuff like that, and having the very over the top comedy, kind of like cleanses your palate. It makes it so like, it's not just a slog.
Yeah, the parallel I drew for that was Full Metal Alchemist, because that show also does that same kind of comedy. I think it's a bit more sparse, but like
it's different though, because like Full Metal Alchemist, it's like it's more just a straight ahead action adventure.
It is, but it also does have that like heavy drama in it as well.
Yeah,
it's got it all, guys. It's a pretty good anime.
I think like the comedy in this it's vital almost. Like if it didn't have the comedy in it, this would be unbearably dank. You know, just so depressing and dark. Yeah. But the comedy, like I think Mike said it, like you need it in this,
because it's like otherwise. I feel like when you have like these kids are 14, right? And when you're 14, you get depressed about stuff, but at the same time, you're still able to giggle and laugh at something silly that happens, or just overreact to something, and that's just
I think
just
in
the
life,
nature of it, and just in life,
you don't need to be a 14-year-old. I think it's just.
I think it especially in the case is, I guess, what I should say. But yes, I agree. Yeah, but I'd say the comedy kind of works though in that case. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Now,
what else should we talk about, guys?
Well, there are other characters as well.
Oh,
I just want to.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to throw to the fourth member of the love cube, the love square.
Okay,
Watari, kind of the best friend, male best friend. He's a jock. He plays soccer, and he's a jock.
He's like a playboy a little bit.
He's a playboy, and Kaori has a.
She likes
like the whole reason all of these characters meet up is because Kaori likes Watari, and Spocky is friends with everybody, and she's like to Kosei, okay, you come along because I don't want to be the third wheel in this. And they go to Kaori's recital, or is it a competition? Whatever. It's a competition.
It is.
She plays violin, and Kosei doesn't want to go because of the past trauma he's had, and that gets the ball rolling in the plot. So like Watari Watari.
Yeah.
He's important in the sense that like he's the foil. He's
kind of the glue guy a little bit.
He's the glue guy.
He's a glue guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not ever really the forefront, but he kind of is like the one who like keeps things. He really kind of is friend A. Like he kind of just like whenever they need something to like tie people together or kind of give someone a nudge, he's kind of that guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He definitely is a womanizer for sure, but he has good intentions for the most part, I'd say.
And he clearly does care about Kosei.
Yes.
Like,
he cares about them all.
Yeah.
And he does like her as well. And she seems to like him. What I do want to say, like, I just want to maybe discuss this. This is a controversial topic of discussion.
Okay.
Oh.
But I'm going to come out and say it because, of course, our main boy, Kosei, he inevitably falls in love with Kaori, obviously.
Of course.
What I will say, though, is I don't know that he... Like, it's more lust to me with him.
And I mean,
like, does he love her as much as he idolizes her, you know? In my opinion.
I think she's mostly just his muse. Like, she's not the object of his affection, more just like she's what inspired him to get back to making music.
That's a good way to put it. Because I don't... Like, I never really got the vibe. I think what you have to remember is, like, love can be in many different ways. And I think in this case, I don't think it's, like...
Romantic love?
Like a sexual romantic love. It's like a...
And
I think maybe they interpret that because they're 14. But
well,
like,
that's what I
that's what I think Cole's getting at.
In Japanese, like the word "I" or "suki" can be used in multiple different ways to mean multiple different things, like respect or admire are like two synonyms that are used in the same like context. So it, like, when they say I love you, it could mean like I respect you or I admire you.
I hear what you're saying, but I would argue that both of these characters, I would argue that they probably don't mean it in a respectful way. I think it's more of a emotional way when they say it.
they think that they mean it in that way.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And as a teenager, they, like, it's understandable. I'm not going to be like, you don't know what love is. I'm not going to be that guy. It's just from an outside point of view, like, this to me speaks more to him respecting her as basically what you're saying, Jay. But when they say, like, when he says that he loves her, I think he thinks that he romantically loves her.
And I think for the most part here,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think for the most part here, like the beauty of this show is really in the character chemistry and the relationships of everything. I think like even down to like the one-off side characters of like Arima's little rivals there, like the girl and the guy that he battled with 2 years ago when he was like a up and coming piano prodigy. Yeah. And like you get to like go through these little mini arcs where like it's like I used to look at you this way and then I used to look at you this way, and then they kind of all like resolve it together and kind of all grow as people. I feel like that's the most powerful stuff in this show is definitely like the interactions between the characters and them kind of evolving from them.
I love at the end of the show where the three like piano prodigies are like on good terms.
Yeah. It's so,
like, I love that.
Yeah,
it's like
great.
They're growing up. Like they're realizing that it's a competition, but like that doesn't mean that you're my enemy.
Friends. Yeah.
There's one line, Kosei takes on a student and she's talking about how like she's his enemy.
Yeah.
And the mentor character of both of them says like, you're not enemies. You're just both on the same path competing against each other.
Yeah.
And like, I love that, like a grown up is like talking sense into a little kid. Like, you're not enemies, where Kosei and Super Saiyan whatever guy and girl
Emmy.
Yeah.
Emmy,
Everyone remembers Emmy. I don't remember the guy's name. But yes, the guy with the spiky
they kind of like work into that organically, and I love that. Though I wish there was more of those three. Like, I wish there was more of them interacting. So that was some of my favorite stuff.
Me too.
Takashi was his name, but
There you go.
the only one that like I think kind of falls by the wayside is the senpai that Tsubaki dates for like a little bit, and then like he disappears for like a couple episodes, and then he comes back to break up with her.
Yeah,
I
just
it's
kind of
kind of like, what's the point? Yeah,
Yeah,
What was the point of
I
all
was
of
just
this?
kind of like, I don't think he really mattered in the grand scheme of things.
he was just to show that she was not being true to herself. I think was his whole point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like I don't. It does feel like it wasn't treated with the same kind of attention as everything else was.
I think it's a little clunky, but I think the whole point of him is for her to realize that she actually loves
sure
him, the other glasses boy, glasses
So
coon.
like, yeah,
She thought she wasn't in the love dodecahedron, but in fact she was.
She was, and she's best girl. Yeah, so I think it's vital. It's so important, gentlemen, that we discuss music in this. What did we? The OST in this, of course, is good.
it is really good.
It is probably what makes this so good, honestly, is because it heightens all the emotional moments to like atmospheric levels. It's some of them are like so over the top and ridiculous that it's awesome.
And I'm not even talking about like the performances. I just mean the OST in general. But then, you get into the performances. What I do want to say about the performances in it, and this isn't just this is like any music anime. These like non-musician characters in the crowd being so blown away by everybody and being able to tell the subtle differences between competitive musicians.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to, and I play a little bit of music. Like if I went and watched, it'd be like, okay, this guy's really good. Okay, this guy's also really good. Okay, this guy's also really good, because I'm not that well versed in competitive music and B piano to be able to be like
there was
there was
one piece that Kosei was playing that like it sounded really funky to me, and I was like, this sounds like he's off, and like everyone in the crowd's like, oh, he's like Kosei's back, like this is like the perfect like the perfect
agree.
thing, and I'm like I was sitting there like this sounds so off tune.
It was a really bad song for the showrunners to pick to show that he's back.
Yeah,
because
it
the
has
song
like a weird...
sounds out of time.
It sounds out of tune.
Not out of tune, but out of time. Yeah,
like it sounds like their hands aren't moving at the same tempo, and they should have picked like a song that, as a layman, I could have recognized as being something good.
Yeah.
I get that he was playing it well because everybody was saying that he was playing it well, but like the friends in the crowd should have been like, why is everybody like enjoying this so much? This sounds really bad. And then, one of the like actual musicians could turn and be like, no, this is like, he's playing. It's out of time, but like he's playing it like it's supposed to be.
They could tell that like, I think that they did a good job though of having the dynamics of the music for them. Like other than that one thing, I agree with you, Jay. Like it was, everyone's like, oh, he's just playing this incredibly, and it's kind of like, that's just kind of, it sounds awkward, that part of the song. Just pick a different part. But like
song,
I think the crowd's reactions help guide the layman through this a little bit, and that's maybe why
as a viewer. And
I think that kind of makes you, they're telling you it's good, so you're like, oh yeah, I guess it's good, and you kind of get it. But I think that even the music itself, I don't know if they like recorded it specifically for this, but like just the dynamics of what they play and like how extreme they are, I find really kind of it even like a layman, I would say, could figure it out. Like when he's struggling, it sounds clunky and weird.
Yeah.
And when he's playing something with like emotion, you can hear it. I think everybody could hear it.
It's like the law of diminishing returns with these really good players, and everybody being able to tell, oh, this person's going to win this competition. And it's I would rather have like Tsubaki and Watery, whatever, be playing the audience stand-in and being like, I don't get like why everybody thinks that this one, and then have somebody explain to them why this performance is better than the other performance.
I can see that, but I think it might take you out of the moment a little bit.
It may.
This is definitely all about.
I'm nitpicking.
But
I'm
you gotta
nitpicking.
admit those Steinway and Sons pianos are sorry, trademark Steinway and Sons pianos are just marvelous.
Piano porn, yes, definitely.
I disagree with that a little bit because like I at the same time like I think if everyone's like saying oh this sounds so good and you're just sitting there like I kind of disagree, like that took me out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm nitpicking. Like I'm rewriting this as if I was doing it. So I mean that's just a personal thing.
No, I'm agreeing with you, Cole.
Oh, okay. Then
it
yes.
didn't sound like it. So, but yes, we can all agree though that
I just mean like if they turned around and explained like oh this is why it's so good blah 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 blah, then I'd be like okay I can understand it. Whereas if they just like did what they were doing in the show and were saying like this is so good and everyone was doing that, then I'd be like or like I was just like
yeah, no,
I don't get it.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Can we all agree though that the first OP is like an all-timer?
Yeah.
Like
and this show, what do you
great.
mean by first OP? Does this show have multiple OPs?
Yeah, there's 2 OPs.
Oh, I
Did
forgot
you skip
that
them
there
every
was
time?
I forgot that there was a second. No, I watched them. I'm making a comment
okay.
that there is no second
I
OP.
see.
He's setting you up for a thing, Mike.
Flew right over my head like a little dove. Anyway, a little angel flying over my head. I genuinely forgot there were 2 OPs for this show until I rewatched it. I was like, oh, it's not the song anymore. Damn it.
Yeah. No, the first OP is very good.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, you did tell us off air. You said it was carried a little bit by the song.
I think so.
A little bit. I do think that it's a genuinely a good OP, visually and song wise. A lot of times when something is carried by the song, like it's that kind of means that the OP wasn't good. I think it's both. Like I think the OP is good, and I think the song just elevates it even further.
I think the OP itself, if it was a different song, it would be fine. Like I wouldn't hate it, but I wouldn't be like this is like the best OP ever.
Right.
But the song is like for me, I think the standout in this OP.
And just if you haven't heard the song, it's called Hikaru Nara by Goose House. You probably have heard it.
Go listen to the acoustic version of it.
Jay is in love with the acoustic version. Every version of it's good. It's such a
the
good
acoustic
song.
version good. Regular version also good.
Both
this song
are good.
We'll
watch the OP. It's amazing.
Should this song be on our playlist? By the way,
it probably
is.
I forgot we had a playlist. We haven't added anything to it in a long time.
No, we haven't.
It's dusty.
Yeah.
But also go watch the Mother's Basement old video of our boy Mother's Basement. This is like one of his early What's in an OP series.
Back when he did What's in an OP. Yeah.
He just did one for Dun Dun Dun.
I don't care, Jay. Don't correct me.
Yeah, don't tell him that. Don't let Cole live in his fantasy. He wants to
let me live
Cole,
in my
you're
ignorance.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
Right.
I was
fellow
joking.
Canadian, I believe.
I was just joking. I was just lying.
No, sorry.
Either right
I
or
was
lying.
sorry. I was just that was basic procedure for me.
It was basic procedure. Yeah. No, I did want to bring that up as well. One of the all-time goats of What's in an OP. Yeah.
A guy who I feel like is single-handedly like a little bit responsible for bringing a bit of like the OP love to the West, I feel.
I think so. That's kind of what led, personally speaking, like watching What's in an OP kind of led to me appreciating OPs more. But we're not reviewing Mother's Basement.
No.
He would get consider continuing.
He'd get a protagonist from me.
Jay?
What's that?
Mother's Basement. What are you giving him?
Quick.
I'm going to say why.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's funny. Cole, you did write on here. I want to throw out, we have some little oddity things that we wrote in our little show notes here. I just want to get through 2 of them real quick.
Sure, yeah.
The first one is mine, and I wrote, the dad went out for milk 10 years ago. And I just thought it was funny how like they kept being like, oh, where's your dad? And they brought it up like multiple times, and it's just like, let me spoil it for you. You never see the dad. He is never there. He left a long time ago, and he's not coming back.
No, they explain it at the start. They say he's away for work. Okay.
Yeah.
We're with this character for a whole year.
Yeah.
We never see this father. Never. He's gone all year. I understand, like, couldn't he come home for one episode or something? And then, like, he could, like, his character would be like, he's distant or something.
Yeah.
Like something. You never see him. He's a non-character. They could have said he's dead.
this
fact
kid's
that they went
mother
through
died, and the dad still didn't come home.
the fact that they
Like,
the fact that they wrote into the script that he just like he's away all the time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I guess it kind of explains why he has a nice house,
Mm-hmm.
but they could have just not said anything, and that would have been fine.
I wouldn't even. Yeah, they
They-
called
they
attention
could've-
to it for no reason.
They could have said he was living with that other woman. That was kind of like basically his surrogate mother in this.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that would have been
yeah.
a real twist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
The-
like I wouldn't have batted an eye. Like
Yeah, that'd be
genuinely,
normal.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so like this is who he's. Oh wait, no, never mind. He doesn't live with her. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like he's almost worse than the mother. Like all of this stuff happened, and he's just like
he's
AWOL,
not even there.
Absent. Yeah.
Yeah.
completely absent. Mike, did you want to bring up the fact that Kosei's suit grows with him?
That was the next one. I looked at your list there and I was laughing at that.
Yeah. So he's got this blue suit. Very nice suit. Lovely suit.
Beautiful suit. Yeah.
And then it shows him as a little kid, and he's got the same suit, and it's little suit.
Maybe he
and
just
then,
bought a similar suit.
well, or it grew with him, Jay.
It's a super suit.
It's a super suit. It grew with him. When he takes off his other clothes, that's his skin. He's actually naked.
Yeah.
In the scene.
No, he's actually wearing his uniform underneath the suit.
Yeah. I laughed at that though, because it's like, what are the odds he would have the exact same suit?
the
for
same
all
shade of
phases
blue,
life?
Jay.
Yeah.
They should have given him like a black suit when he was a little kid, or when he's an adult, because he's in mourning. You see, 'Cause when he's an
that would've been
adult,
a
he could
nice
have
symbol.
had a black
That'd-
suit. Symbolism,
nice
Jay.
symbol.
With
Symbolism.
like a red
yeah.
tie.
It's a red tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The symbolism in this is so good too. Like,
Yeah.
did you guys catch that there were like multiple different cats symbolizing
Yeah.
different things? I feel like
Yeah.
that's one of the most obvious ones.
In my notes, I wrote in all caps, cats represent dead people. Like it hit me like a truck when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, there's two cats. I guess the mother.
Yeah.
The mother's got blue eyes. And then, okay, now it's finally time to acknowledge the spoiler. Kaori dies at the end.
Oh, no.
And the black cat with the green eyes represents Kaori. And when that hit me, I was like, oh.
See,
get
I
it
look
now.
at it.
I
look at it
understand.
different. Okay, that's interesting because we had different interpretations.
Also,
there.
rip Chelsea.
Yeah, poor Chelsea.
That unacceptable what they
We
did to
hardly knew
Chelsea.
Who? I took it as
The cat.
the blue cat was like they were both representing our boy Arima, is my mind. I thought the blue cat was his like moving on and like his like excitement for music and like his like excitement for life.
Mm.
And like in the green cat, the green-eyed cat symbolized his like internal monologue of like self-doubt and like despair. And that's why you don't really see the green cat towards the end. And the green cat always says to him like these kind of like questioning things.
Maybe I'm mixing up the eye color, and that's semantics. But
Yeah.
like one of the
One does, yes.
one of the cats is like kind of like the opposite of a pep talk.
Mhm.
And then the other cat is like Kaori picks him up and they pet, and then they see that cat at the end, and it's supposed to represent Kaori.
And it kind of symbolizes their relationship too at the same time
Mhm.
too. Because it's like always there with them. Kaori has a little cat thing on her bag all the time and stuff. It's very
Mm-hmm. Now, what I also wanted to say, did we cry, Jay?
No, I did not.
Nothing? You didn't feel
Really?
anything?
Didn't
weak.
cry.
Mike?
I didn't full on weep, but I definitely got misty eyed, I'd say. Because
Okay.
it's not as tear jerking when you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Very true. So much so that I didn't at all, really.
Yeah.
What got me though was when Kosei like comes to terms with his mother's loss,
Mm-hmm.
and he like breaks down after performing. I think it's the second time or something. That's the one that almost got me. Again, I never cry, but that was more impactful. I guess because I forgot that was a plot point.
Yeah.
He kind of like the whole first half is about him getting over his mother's loss, and then the second half is kind of the Kaori getting sick arc.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one cool thing to talk about with this too is like like Jay wrote here, the difference between first watch and rewatch. And I feel like there was definitely a lot. I'm glad that I watched this so spaced out in between, because there was a lot of plot points I completely forgot. Like I completely forgot about the B plot characters there for a lot of it. And like, I'm glad that I kind of got to like revisit those from a place where like I got to basically re-experience them for the first time with like a little bit of an idea what was going to happen. And I thought that was really cool. And I agreed. Like I thought the first half where it's just Arima dealing with his trauma, I thought that was way more moving to me. Like when he finally accepts it and moves on, that was a very moving performance for sure.
Yeah. Also just like, I like being able to rewatch this from the point of view of Kaori having that ulterior motive.
Yeah.
And you pick up on it, and when the first time I watched it, you really don't know. But then when you rewatch it, it's like, oh, okay, I see what she's like. Everything she's doing makes sense. It's not like a retcon at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like there were some nice little bits of foreshadowing in there too. Like Tsubaki asks her like, why are you helping him? Or like how do you see Kosei? And she answers like he's a hopeless little brother. Which like is similar to how Tsubaki was saying that she saw Kosei, which like she was also, in love with him.
Yeah.
And I think Kaori picked up on that. So like she was basically saying like, I feel the same way you do.
Yeah.
Which, I thought was cool.
Okay. The other thing I just want to like going off of the cats and whatnot. How do we feel about the lips in this one? How do we feel about the lips?
I didn't honestly think much of it until like you guys brought it up, to be honest with you. So go off about the LIPS of this.
I don't mind the lips, but in my notes, I wrote, I think the lips were an artistic choice specifically to show that Kaori's getting sicker, because her lips start to get like more blue or gray.
I think it's just his style, because I read the mangaka's most recent manga, and like the art is exactly the same, and like
okay,
so.
Oh, the lips
I'm gonna. My headcanon is what I said.
Yeah, because they definitely do that though, where like in the beginning of the show, Kaori is like very vibrant and colorful, and then as she gets sicker and sicker, she like basically is like she's gray by the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, her hair loses its
sheen.
It gets
and then
duller.
And like counter to that too, Arima starts off very like black and blue, and then like it's kind of sad, but like he's like basically like sucking the color out of Kaori, because by the end his world's way more colorful too.
Yeah.
Interesting one for sure.
He's like a parasite.
Yeah. I feel weird saying that, but yeah.
So I think like we can't really get into too much more, but I see, Mike, you do have like an actual point that you want to discuss, and that's the show has more internal monologue than dialogue. Which it really does. A lot of times the characters are kind of just going through stuff in their own head rather than discussing it. But yeah, what did you like?
No, you kind of broke it down pretty well. Exactly. Like if you took like a tally of like words said either to like a monologue to either themselves in their head or like just out loud to themselves versus like words said between two or more characters, there's way more said like it's just monologuing. And I feel like in a show like this, if it didn't have like this awesome score with like the music kind of moving you, I feel like it would have really dragged, where you're just watching this guy play piano, and if they didn't embellish on it, like there's like drums and stuff with the piano, and it's like that wouldn't be there. But like if that wasn't there, I feel like the show really would have dragged by having the music kind of carry you as the monologue was happening and kind of make you ride that emotional wave. I felt like it made this anime kind of what it was. Like that's probably the primary thing that it does, I'd say. What do you guys think about the monologuing of this?
100% agree. I think it's kind of vital with the music. Like, again, as a layman, I wouldn't pick up on somebody being like more passionate in their playing without them telling me that they're being more passionate, or
Mhm.
like I can hear if something's going wrong, but I
Mhm.
can't hear like the emotion that's being conveyed in the playing, and you kind of need the internal dialogue for that.
For sure.
Again, my problem is the side characters do not have access to that emotional dialogue that we have, yet they act like they do, you know?
They're,
But that's, again, I'm nitpicking.
yeah, and I think they're there to guide you. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do see one more point that I'd like Jay to guide me on here.
Yeah.
Jay, you have here written Elohim Esayim, which is the little like quote
The little
that
mantra,
Kaori,
yeah.
the little spell that she says to herself before she performs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
and it made me look it up too.
Yeah, when I was when I first watched this, like I looked into it because like I knew what Elohim meant. I didn't know what Esayim meant. So like I
Mhm.
went to my teachers in high school because like I figured they would know.
Did some
Yo,
research.
teach.
So
What's
like
this?
I went deep for this.
Okay.
And like they couldn't find Esayim no matter how hard they looked. And I
Okay.
recently found out that Esayim is a poorly translated Etz Chaim, which means tree of life.
Okay.
So what it means is Elohim is God, Etz Chaim is tree of life. So
okay.
she's basically, from my understanding, asking like, give me more time.
Okay.
That's counter to what I found when I did my research, which
Okay.
is interesting.
What did you
I
find?
saw someone who suggested it's like basically a transcription from I forget what it was, but it was like essentially her summoning a demon. it's from, hold on, I'll do some quickly Googling here and I'll get back where I was.
Okay, well, Mike's doing that. I'm just gonna. The question on everybody's mind: what
Yes.
is wrong with Kaori? What disease does she have? And I did a little bit of research on this one, and it turns
I
out,
did too. Yes.
she does have. Well, I mean, it's never explicitly said what condition she has, but all signs point to her having Friedreich's ataraxia, which is a rare inherited disease that causes progressive damage to the nervous system and heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I didn't realize, this wouldn't have killed her as fast as she passed away from in the anime. And initially, I thought that she passed away from this condition. She doesn't, though. It's the surgery that she has, and the doctors even say that.
Yeah, that's why they're kind of
there's-
like, are you sure
there's
you
lots
want to
of-
do this?
Yeah, there's lots of complications with this, but she wants to play music so bad that she is
She
willing
took the
to go
risk.
through this very dangerous procedure, and that's what ultimately,
Which is sad in
makes her
itself
pass
too,
away.
right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, it's also like very inspiring that she is so passionate about playing music that she's willing to put it all on the line. And yeah, it doesn't work out for her, which is sad. Yeah. But like I'm also kind of like, proud's the wrong word. Obviously, I don't have a sense of pride in a fictional character, but like, that's very inspiring that she would be willing to do that just to have a little bit more time to play music.
Yeah, and the thing that like I kind of forgot about is that like they really only play a duet like 1.5 times.
They do. Yeah. They only play really at the start, and then they practice together, and
but
stuff
like
happens.
Like like there really is only like one real performance,
Mm-hmm.
and then like kind of one at the end.
Yeah, it's almost like cherry blossoms falling or snow falling or fireflies or something, like where it's just very fleeting and in the moment, and you kind of only get to experience it for that short amount of time. So you better just take it all in, right?
Yeah.
Symbolism. I did find the thing I was looking for, by the way.
What did you
prayer Kaori whispers before playing, Elohim Esayim, Elohim Esayim, I implore you, is a chant common in anime and manga. If recited 3 times, it can either give good luck or summon demons. Its origin comes from the Book of Black Magic.
Jay,
And
is
in
this
Italian-
correct?
No.
Yeah.
At least not that I know of.
Okay.
Apparently, God, Elohim is the Hebrew word for God, and Esayim, it says, is a French word for either swarm or locust, is what this is saying. but there's lots of
Sure.
interpretations
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I think we've
we've said
basically
it all.
said everything we
Yeah.
wanted to say. Why don't we kind of give our final thoughts and our ratings here?
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'll be the brave one.
Okay, you're so
I'm so brave. Now, what I do want to say is, I think the show was very good. I was pleasantly surprised, considering I went into this thinking I wouldn't like it. The A-plot, obviously, terrific. I mean, terrific's a weird word to say with regards to that, but it's very, very captivating. But the B plot is so necessary in this. The B plots, him becoming a teacher, him going through the competitions, him inspiring other people. That's what leads to this show being able to be a 22 episoder. This show, one of the easiest binges I've ever had, at the detriment of me editing this podcast on time. I forgot to edit the podcast because I was too busy watching this show. That's on me. But
This is true.
also
I can't
also
confirm.
on the show for being so good. The comparisons to March Comes In Like a Lion, obvious. Not in a bad way. I think they're both like, I love March Comes In Like a Lion, so that's I could certainly compare this to something worse than that. There's some unanswered questions. The ending, while I understand the point of it is for Kosei to move on with his life, there's some stuff I still want to see at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mind a prologue. I wouldn't mind a bit of a prologue.
You mean an epilogue?
Or an epilogue too.
An epilogue, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Prologue would be before.
Kind of.
At the
You kind
beginning.
of get the prologue though, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The comedy works in it. The drama obviously works in it. It hit me with things that I forgot about that were still able to resonate with me. I mean, this is an easy certified for me, AniPro certified. I think this is one of the better shows that we've reviewed, in my opinion. This is a terrific show, and I implore everyone to go and watch this television program on Crunchyroll. It's on Crunchyroll.
Nice.
Yeah, Jay, what did you think of this
Yeah, for
television
sure.
program?
So halfway into the show, I wrote a little thing about this show because I was a little inspired. So I'm gonna read that.
Is it poetry?
real
Is it
quick.
poetry, Jay?
It is not poetry.
No, it's a song he's gonna sing.
I hope it's
It's not
poetry.
a song.
And,
It's a little synopsis of this show.
it's a little ditty.
Then I'll go into it. Just give me a second.
Is it
Pulls out a
sentimental?
tuning thing.
Yeah.
Your Lie in April is the story of a puppet. Manipulated by his puppet master, he became known as a piano prodigy, someone who could play a score with robotic proficiency. One day, the strings were cut, and the reverberating effects left him unable to hear the notes anymore, as if those strings were part of a nervous system. Not all hope was lost, however, as a girl who idolized him worked not to mend the strings, but to turn the puppet into a real boy who could play for himself. I wrote that halfway into my watch of this show.
Is Your
And-
Lie in April Pinocchio?
That's the thought. That's the thought I had.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of agree with that still, but like I think it was more than just Kaori that helped him. I think his mom's friend was a big driving force there. And then like his two friends, Watari and Tsubaki, I think were also, but the point still stands. And like, while I don't resonate with the show as much as I did when I first watched it, which I think is a bit acceptable considering the place I was in at the time, I still did really enjoy it. And I think if you're looking for something that, you know, if you haven't seen it yet, which is very unlikely, I would say it's definitely worth checking out. Music's great, albeit sometimes I thought like the piano playing was a little off, like they were doing like the like hand across the keyboard and it was making like a different noise than what I thought it would make, but that's neither here nor there. but like I still thought like the writing was pretty solid, and I like the characters. So at the end of the day, it did tickle my jimmies.
Okay.
Tickle of the Jimmies, and that just leaves me, gentlemen.
That just leaves you.
The one who nominated it. And I came into this thinking I was going to not enjoy it as much as the first watch. But I was pleasantly surprised that I actually maybe enjoyed it more with the extra context of what is actually going on behind the scenes and knowing what's coming a little bit. I thought it does a great job of keeping you interested and entertained with all of the imagery and all the symbolism and all the awesome score and all like the little bit of dramatic moments that always have. Like, this show is so packed with drama. Like each episode is its own little like mini arc almost. It's so captivating, and you can't help but relate to the feeling of like someone going through some sort of traumatic despair situation and coming out of it realizing I'm not alone. I have people here for me. People do support me. There's more than just me here. And I think that's what this show kind of says to me, is like things can be pretty rough, but with good people around you, you'll find a way through. And I think that on top of that, it's just like a stunningly directed. There are moments where it flounders a little bit for sure. There's definitely nitpicks you could pick out of it. But like at the end of the day, this is also an easy protagonist for me, or certified for me as well. Like this is great anime, and I think it earns its place in the pantheon. It earns its place on Jay's poster, and it deserves to be scratched off as one of the anime of all time for sure.
Definitely one of the anime of all time. So that is 2 certified and 1 tickles my jimmies. So this one passes. It passes
passing
the
score.
Gets a passing score. Congratulations.
I'd say it lives up to the hype after rewatching, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a manga. Let us know what you think of.
Yeah. Tell us what you think of it too.
Let us know
tell us in the
think of
podcast discussion channel of the Discord.
We also have an anime review coming up before we get into the manga review.
Is it the anime?
No,
I thought it's the manga review first.
Manga review first.
It's the manga review first.
This is an anime review, so our next anime review is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, our next anime review, which will be in a couple weeks, is Ponpo the Cinephile. It is a movie, a nice, easy one for everybody here. Ponpo the Cinephile, a movie about Ponpo the Cinephile. Go figure.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. But next week, we've got a manga review. That is Nue's Exorcist. So we've got 2 reviews in a row before we take a nice little break from reviews for a little bit while we get into the holiday season. Happy December, everybody, by the way. And then we've also, our listeners' choice voting is up. Go and vote for which Cyberpunk anime we're going to review. Your choices are Vivi, Fluoride Eye Song, Serial Experiments Lane, and Texonalize. Go and vote. Vote in as many places as you can. If you're new here,
eventually a poll on Twitter. There'll be Instagram. There's going to be a poll in the description of this episode wherever you're watching or listening. They'll be on our Discord. There'll be lots of places to vote. The YouTube channel has one.
Yeah,
it's going to be polls here, polls there, polls everywhere. It's going to be
voting in multiple places does help a lot too, because each one it's important. It helps.
Each poll counts as a vote. So the winner of the YouTube poll is one vote.
Yeah,
that's right.
That will go into.
Thank you for. That's what I was trying to say, but you said it much better than I could. Yeah.
The Electoral College of AniPro, if you will.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of AniPro. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend about us. If you really like us, why don't you consider supporting us on Patreon, like these lovely people: Mr. Family Guy 36, Elijah Wood, Braindead B-Dog, Peach Frama, Kratos, Just Juzz, Mogmog, Antonio Bustos, Uncle of Light, and Super Mexi. By supporting us on Patreon, you get access to all sorts of perks, and it really helps out the show. We're also on social media at AniProPod, and please join our Discord community to keep up with us and other listeners. Links to everything is in the description or on our website, AniProPod.com. Jay's the thumbs up guy today. Jay, why don't you lead us in a round?
Did we talk about the thumbs up guy in the episode?
Look out for thumbs up guy. He's in this one.
He's the best character in the entire show.
Ask us about thumbs up guy. We'll tell you about him on Discord. Jay, why don't you lead us in a round of bye-byes?
We're all giving each other a thumbs up. Why don't we fade away with a round of bye-byes. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thumbs up.
Bye bye.